Greetings and welcome to the Caregiver Coalition of San Diego Lunch and Learn webinar. My name is Matthew Parcasio, and I'm the Caregiver Programs Coordinator at Aging and Independence Services, a division of the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency. I will be your host on behalf of the Caregiver Coalition of San Diego, an organization made of many different community partners dedicated to helping caregivers. I will be recording today's webinar for future viewing. This recording and past Lunch and Learn webinars can be found on our website at www.caregivercoalitionsd.org. Thank you for joining today's webinar. Today, we are pleased to have Erin Laney, who will talk about preserving dignity with dementia. Erin Laney is the founder and owner of Erin Home Care, a home care agency in San Diego. He's built his reputation of compassion, managing a group homes for adults with disabilities. Now he uses his experience to provide home care services such as personal care, transportation, lighthouse cleaning, and companionship to help San Diego seniors live at home safely and comfortably. There will be time for question and answer at the end of the webinar. So if you have questions, please click on the message button and type in your question in the chat box. Also, please click on the mute button so that we can assure that the presentation goes smoothly without much background noise. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Erin.
Thank you. Thank you, Matthew. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Here we are. Does that work? Are you seeing it? Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I've packed a lot into this presentation. So I'm not going to read every word, but again, I want to reiterate what Matthew said. You can reach out via chat anytime, as well as at the end, I have my contact information, and you can go back and watch the re-recording. So hopefully you'll get a lot out of it, but you can always go back. Okay, so preserving dignity with dementia. So just a little bit about my background. This is me, actually, I was looking at it almost 20 years ago. So I've been doing this for a long time. And my background started in working with adults with disabilities. And this is really where a lot of the philosophy of care came from. A lot of people with disabilities were institutionalized back in, 30s, 40s, 50s, and the 70s, 80s was an era of deinstitutionalization and really a big push on dignity and respect for people with disabilities, bringing them out into the community. So I worked in several group homes, and that was the concept of kind of normalization, where part of the dignity is looking at just that I'm wearing normal clothes. We were out, I was pushing someone in a wheelchair, we're out in the community, but I wasn't wearing scrubs like, oh, this is a patient. This is, someone with disabilities. I'm really trying to just help live life to the best quality of life they can without pointing out their disabilities, but really trying to focus on the abilities. It's also a lot of person-first language where we're talking about adults with disabilities instead of disabled adults, and these little nuances matter. It gave me a lot to think about, but we're really looking at the person first. So dignity and respect were a large part of what I learned in the disability field. This is my wife's grandfather, and it's just a great picture. We're in the background, and this is him, one of his last Christmases with us, playing the piano, and he wasn't 100%, but people of all ages and abilities feel and do better when treated with dignity and respect. And it was just really wonderful to hear him playing the piano. So little honor to him. So what is dignity? Dignity is the right of a person to be valued and respected. It's your sense of self, self-esteem, self-worth, self-respect. And in the disability field, we talk about dignity of risk. It's a big thing there. I don't hear it as much in the elderly field, and I would like to hear it more, because I think there's a lot of similarities when you're talking about, especially with dementia, someone with cognitive impairment, but these people with intellectual disabilities live their whole life. We still gave them dignity of risk, and we need to bring that into the elderly population and people with dementia. And dignity of risk is the right to choose what you do and how you want to live, despite the fact that those lifestyle choices may come with risk. So, what does that mean? Okay, for me, so some examples for me, it means it's the right to watch TV instead of going for a run. Obviously, I have a workout plan that would put me in the best physical shape. Do I follow it every day? No. I say, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna watch TV. I have that right. The right to play rugby. Am I gonna get hurt, physically hurt playing rugby? I might. But to me, it's something important, so it is my right. The right to start my own business, knowing it was a financial risk. So every decision I make is not always the safest, but I'm weighing the risks and what is important to me and what I value in my life. So examples for our loved ones. These are more things of maybe the right to eat cookies when you're diabetic, the right to continue living on the second floor when you are a fall risk, the right to not take medications. So these are difficult conversations, and really what people feel about these is all over the map. So our job as caring for our loved ones is really to understand how they would want to be treated. What do they value? And that is how we give them the dignity as a respect, is that we empower them to live the life the way they want. And you're thinking, oh, a lot of times I find a big thing with guilt with people saying, I promised, my dad when he died, I would take care of my mom. So it's not only you want to take care of your mom, it's a big pressure in terms of, oh, I made this dying wish to my dad. And a lot of times I see, and that is called the duty of care. So for family caregivers, it means you're obligated to make sure no harm comes to your loved one. So you're in a role protection. I promised my dad. And very often gets interpreted into just physical safety. And I want to really bring apart the sense of self-worth and being valued is also a large part of this. So you can deliver care that has excellent outcomes to a person's health, but if they haven't been able to make choices for themselves or haven't been assisted instead of doing things for them, assisted in doing activities of daily living, you can really damage a person psychologically by undermining their dignity. So this is really the balance. This is dignity of risk is really your psychological well-being, your right to make choices, your right to be involved in your care, even if you have diminished intellectual cognitive abilities. And duty of care is usually physical. Oh, sorry, I don't know how to get it back. Is usually interpreted as physical safety. And so what I'm looking at, I'm not saying, let people just run in the street and do whatever they want. We're really looking at balance. Balance is key to this. So again, we have dignity of risk, we have duty of care. We're looking at where do they meet in the middle? How can we give people dignity safely? Those are the two major concepts that are so important in working. So duty of care, overprotection, smothering. This is often where family caregivers, out of just goodness of their heart and really wanting to do the right thing and promising their dad, I'll take care of my mom, often become very overprotective and smothering. So there's also neglect, irresponsibility if you do go too far on the other side, which also obviously leads to a lower quality of life. But usually for you guys, what I'm talking about, the family caregivers tend to go towards duty of care. So that's why bringing up the concept of dignity of risk is so important to me, to try and bring it back and balance it a little bit. So how do we do that? How do we give them dignity? It's all about choice. It's really the ability to let them participate in their care, even if you don't 100% agree. It's their life, and if we can help them do it safely, we really will instill a positive sense of self-worth. And that's what we want. at the end of the day, when when we all leave this earth, we don't want to feel like, oh, the last 3 years of my life I was treated as a child. We want to leave feeling I was loved and respected and valued. So the key to presenting choices is really to adjust the choices depending on the stage of your stage of dementia, learning about dementia, how to communicate, limit choices, don't overwhelm people or allow for choices that aren't feasible, and be creative. So as caregivers, we often fall into the pattern of doing things for the person with dementia rather with them. So, as your mom ages or your partner ages, now something like, okay, we're going to the doctor. It's going to take, they can put on their own shoes, but it's going to take 20 minutes and you want to get out the door. So you're going to go put the shoes on for them. That's kind of what happens a lot. And those are the kind of things that chip away at someone's self-esteem, self-worth. They feel dismissed. What you want is to really just take a deep breath, have some patience. It's not always easy, and know that this may take 20 minutes. And you know what? We may miss the doctor appointment and we may need to reschedule, but we may also do this activity together and have a bonding moment of putting the shoes on and realizing next time we need to start earlier. It really can be a action of love and maybe not just about physical, we need to see the doctor. So I'm going to go through the different stages and how to preserve dignity through choices in the early stages. So this is really one of the most important stage, in that you can really talk about it. If you're able to open up and talk about what it would look like, you don't even have to say, I think you have dementia. Let's say, what if you got dementia? What would how do you feel about these examples? Would you want me to let you eat cookies? Would you want me to hide the cookies? Would you want the most aggressive medical care there is? Or do you want, a lot of people, especially men of the World War II era and after, they want to do what they want to do. And as long as we can keep them as safe as possible, we're really going to leave them with a lot of dignity. It's so important to understand how they feel about that. Do they want to go to an assisted living, memory care, home with caregivers? How do they feel about driving, end of life decisions? The more you can get their input at this point, the more you're able to respect their wishes and their dignity moving forward. So it's a great opportunity. There's something called the Conversation Project. You can look that up online and download it, and then it has the questions for you. So you're able to just, hey, let's go through these questions. And they're difficult questions, but they're important. And when the time comes, you'll feel so much better because you're not making the choices for them. So you won't have any guilt. You won't think, oh, you'll be able to know that you're doing what they wanted. And I see that a lot, especially with people that are, oh, it's time to put mom into memory care, the guilt. But if they had planned this together with their mom, it really alleviates a lot of, okay, I'm respecting her wishes, her plans. This is how we're going to do it. Same with, there's a point, I'm not going to crush her medications and make her say it. She said she didn't want to if she was at this stage. The Conversation Project is just extremely important to go over, and will really help you and help them maintain their dignity moving forward. So you want to build a team and reinforce the fact that your loved one is at the center of the team. So the team, just always remember, it's not all these people around coming down and telling your loved one what to do. The more at the early stage, all these people that are going to be the support system and the care team learn the value, what kind of end of life values your loved one has, and they're the center. Then this team can work together to really help make that happen. So this is also a big stage where family caregivers can be overprotective. It's not all or nothing. People start to have memory loss and easily can get dismissed by children or family members who just don't want to spend the time going through. You can avoid pet names you hadn't used with your loved one. Don't treat them like a child. They will feel that, baby, sweetie. Let them do as much as they can while they still can. Focus again on their abilities, not their disabilities. And they may be good for a couple hours in the morning and then not as good at night. So really empower, look at what time they're doing well and empower them, create activities around the time where they are going to succeed. Just don't dismiss them. And a lot of times people with dementia are very much dismissed, and it comes in waves. It's not black and white that someone is one day okay and the next day can make zero decisions. So you really need to listen and have patience and support that person. So how to preserve it through choices in the middle stages. This is when it starts to get harder and they need more support. And it's good if we know how they want it, but these are kind of some of the things I was saying. Pay attention, time of day. Make sure they're wearing their glasses, make sure their hearing aids are on. Sit down, talk to them at eye level. A lot of people in wheelchairs are used to people staring down at them. That also is something, a big part of dignity and respect is to sit down, sit in a chair, crouch down and talk in eye to eye level. It matters. And then go back to your conversation project, go back to the questions that you had talked about. Just keep in mind what they value and how they want to live out their life. So dressing is a way that people start to have trouble dressing, but we can help set them up for success. Again, allow them to dress. You can have verbal cues. A lot of it requires patience, a little extra planning on your part, but it can be done. Trying to move through. So you can put sign on it. So here you can let them know. The contrast helps, but let them know, okay, we need one pair of pants. Go into that drawer and get one pair of pants. Let's put one t-shirt on. Like this. You can also go ahead and group. You can take out a lot of the outfits, just create, 5 or 6 outfits, hang in and let them choose which outfit they want to wear, but then it eliminates the choice of what matches with what. Sometimes people create that everything matches with everything at this stage. You can do laundry. You don't need a million clothes. It's time to pare down and make the choices simpler. You're trying to simplify choices to not overwhelm. Same with food. You can make pictures. They may be forgetting what that food is when you say, oh, do you want pizza? Do you want a cookie? Do you want, what do you want to eat? That's a lot harder to answer than having some pictures, some little postcards of food, and maybe they can point to what they want. But they know you're listening to them, instead of just giving them what you think, anything for lunch. Okay, you put out some postcards, they point to one, and they feel valued, respected. It's important. Just for walking, you don't want to say, don't ever leave the house. This one is definitely a safety issue. So really, you can find a walking group, but you can put GPS tracker on their phone. Finances is a huge one. You don't want to just one day someone can completely do their finances and the next day they can't at all. It's just not so black and white. The middle stage is a lot of really providing steps towards that. Make sure they have someone that they trust, even if it's not you, or a financial power of attorney or a fiduciary that can help manage overall, but still provide an account that is limited. So they have access to money. You can't feel dignity and respect if all of a sudden one day you have zero money. You couldn't go to the store and buy a candy bar if you wanted and you're 80 years old. How would that make you feel? Some people, still are writing checks, but you have limited, because there are so many scams out there and people you need to watch out for, and people tend to give away money. You limit their financial risk. So someone has $100,000, they now have access to $5,000, but they're not going to give all their money away, And then the late stages. The late stages of dementia are really watching for nonverbal cues, listening to, not dismissing things, what they're seeing. People do tend to hallucinate sometimes, but you don't need to dismiss them. They're having a different experience and you can honor that. Hygiene is important. We always get someone up out of bed, even if they're bedridden, which is the word, brush the hair, brush the teeth, put on clothes, bathe them. Dignity is feeling clean, comfortable, shaves, haircuts. That's dignity when the neighbors come to visit, that's something that they're not disheveled in the pajamas every day. You can go down to now you're have those 6 outfits where you pick out an outfit and say, do you want to wear this today? And look at their verbal or nonverbal cues. Really try to gauge. Don't limit it to hospital gowns, because that's easy to change and rotate. You can cut the backs of clothes at this point. You can really make it easier. And again, revisit your loved one's wishes for end of life care. The whole thing. Are we crushing medications? Is that what they want? What level of medical intervention did they want? And it takes the guilt off you when you're ready, when you need to make these decisions for them, to feel more you are empowering their decisions. You're more advocating for what they wanted instead of taking all this decision on yourself. So it's a lot of work. It can take a lot of patience. Is it worth it? I think we all can agree that we would all rather feel loved, respected at the end of our life than treated like a child and physically, got another 6 months out of our life. But really inside, our dignity and self-worth has diminished. So it's 100% worth it. So dignity and quality of life. This is my company. It's very important to me. And if you have any questions, anything, if I went through this too quickly or any way I can help, please reach out. This is my email. We provide caregivers in home. Also, I want to do a real plug for the caregiver. This is the Caregiver Coalition. It is a volunteer organization that educates, and it is a wonderful resource. So go through the website, look at the resources. There's a excellent caregiver handbook there you can download. There are other webinars. Definitely watch them as well. And I hope this was of help.
Aaron, thank you so much for that great presentation on dignity and persons with living with Alzheimer's and dementia, and such great info, and especially to hone in on dignity. I don't see any questions in the chat, so we do have some time to open it up for anyone that has a question for Aaron. Anyone? Valerie, did you raise your hand? Please go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. For some reason, I was thinking that I had to write it in. So my question is, I've done occupational therapy for 24 years, and I absolutely adore everything that you said. You're spot on. And now I'm actually selling cemetery and funeral services. And I was wondering if you also talk to your people about pre-planning for things like that.
Oh, sorry, I scrolled. I do sometimes, usually more, oh, thank you for the PowerPoint. When we get into the hospice phase, I work with the hospice usually does a lot. It depends how involved I am. With some clients, you know, it's 4 hours here and there. Some more the clients that I'm 24-hour, don't have children personally. If you're asking if I personally do, those are more the clients that I start to have those conversations with. Yes.
Okay.
So thank you. If everyone wants to, you know, leave their contact information, we can definitely connect as well. Or reach out.
Thank you, Valerie, for that question. Michelle Z, Aaron had a question. Any tips on when capacity is in question with the individual?
That's where it is great to have a care team. It's not just, and it's great to have had those questions before capacity, to have these conversations before capacity is questionable, so that you really know how they want to, you know, you're really then advocating for how they want to live. But it's good. You do need a doctor, a neurologist, other family members, because you don't want to ever be, and especially as, you know, a caregiving company, I don't want to ever feel I'm pressuring a client into something. We want to keep them safety. But again, capacity, that's what's so interesting to me about working with people with intellectual disabilities. There was limited capacity their entire life, but there's still, in the disability field, so much value to what they want to do. We just really help do it safely. It's balance, you know? So does that help?
She said, thank you in the chat. All right. Anybody else with a question? Let's see. We have Sarah. Any tips for loved ones that have recently stopped driving and is feeling trapped at home? We are available to take meal anywhere, but it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same, but that it's a huge one. It is a huge one, and people feel trapped inside these four walls. So the more you can either help with transportation, and I always try to tell people, when you're having a caregiver, we're not here to take away your independence. We're here to assist you in maintaining your independence. That doesn't mean you need to be trapped. Use us to get out. So caregivers, children, getting them out, finding a plan of neighbors, caregivers, you know, Uber, someone you trust, is very important to demonstrate you're not stuck in the house. But that's often a big one of driving and hiring caregivers. People think, oh, my life is over, I'm dependent on people. And it's like, no, we're use us like a walker. We're here to assist you maintain independence. So you're not calling your daughter as a caregiver. We'll take you out to the store. You can still come with us.
All right. Well, it looks like we have just about time for one last question. After the recording, we may be able to see if we can ask that question, but how about we'll have Ethel ask the final question.
Hi, thanks. Just wanted to know, what do you do in the situation when it's a person that lives alone? He has the caregiver service, but and this family has moved out of town just in the last, in the last 2 or 3 months, and they start isolating themselves and don't want to go out. You know, don't want to leave the house or don't want to be around other people. I mean,
Okay.
I know part of that is depression, but how do you go about trying to get them to, you know, even just go around, take them to the park to just sit out and watch the boats or watch the kids on the playground, you know, I mean, in the parks and stuff
Right.
like that.
You know, we encourage, it's good to know where was their start with their favorite place. It's often, okay, we're going to get dressed and go. It's all in a good encouragement. You can't make someone, you don't want to force someone. If it's really depression, you want to talk, you know, with their doctor about that. But also there is something I think that did come out of this pandemic that people have really understood how severe social isolation is. And there is a lot more available now, just even doing this via Zoom. We wouldn't have done this a couple of years ago on Zoom, you know. There are a lot of activities. You can start getting things moving in the house again. There's a lot of different, you know, chair yoga programs or exercise programs, craft activities that, you know, okay, let's start and bring it to them first, and then slowly, you know, maybe make a community and go out. But we can also really bring a lot more to the person.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again, Aaron. And thank you for joining the Caregiver Coalition of San Diego webinar Lunch and Learn workshop. Again, please visit us on our website at caregivercoalitionsd.org. You can also follow us on Facebook, or you can also email us at info@sdcaregivercoalition, all one word, @gmail.com. That was info@sdcaregivercoalition@gmail.com for more information on the Caregiver Coalition of San Diego and our monthly meetings, our caregiver conferences, and the next upcoming webinars. So thank you again, and see you at the next Lunch and Learn webinar.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.